The academic city is a vast collection of educational institutions consisting of dozens of schools, districts that offer special educational programs in search of superhuman abilities. In addition to educational institutions, there are also research facilities for students, production facilities, commercial facilities, international exhibition fields, international airports, and other living facilities needed for living in the city. The city is basically ruled by students, but they are all controlled by the president. Also, the students are classified as no ability or superpowered.
This is part of the overview. The superpowers of students, which is one of the most important elements in our world, is widely ranged. It differs by the genes of the students and the origin of their powers in nature. By observing and interacting with the nature, the mutant gene of the students can help them gain powers like controlling electricity, teleporting, and also future observing. But each student can get only one superpower, as human brains don't have the capacity for more superpowers. The students are classified by the strength in the use of their powers. For the labs in the city, they are aimed to help the students with the improvement of their powers, ostensibly. Actually, the researchers use the students as experimental animals to seek and squeeze the values of their powers and genes for their own interest, such as economical factors and further use of their powers for technologies.
At first, I'm going to talk about student rights in our dystopian society. Students who resist were sent into prison and suppression devices are there for some talented students. In the prison, they will be punished and educated. Also, there is a special organization which are directly administered by council called the Shadows. They will secretly eliminate citizens who is extremely troubling the council, but not many people know them. And next, we're going to talk about the technology in the dystopian society. Science and technology have developed rapidly this year, so people are pursuing for further development. There are more and more films about superpowers, so many people are waiting to have one. And secondly, there are serious conflicts of interest between states and individuals, so people are seeking for more improved methods to solve them. Thus, people have the ambition to discover more and domain more.
The dystopian world we have made are slightly different from our world right now, because the people who live there all have abilities, and the difference is some of the abilities are weaker and some of them are stronger. And our first propaganda is don't dare to trust the government, because the government in our world is really evil. They are dragging you to a sort of experiment and cut your bodies apart and pull out your blood and for experiment. That's really scary because you will die up because of that, and you will die very painfully because your body parts will be needed for experiments. And our second part will be student right matter, because no matter what levels our superpowers are, no matter what ability level we are at, that means their ability doesn't change their social activities, because if they want to live in a social surrounding, they rely on their abilities. But if the government restrict their ability, they will no longer be that talented. So the students start to rebel, and that's propaganda. It means do not restrict people and do not restrict students' abilities.
As for the dystopian word dictionary, our first word is truth. It refers to people who are born with abilities in the academic city, and its purpose is to show that the people with power who control the city are seeking for truth. Our second word is shanks. It refers to people who don't have those supernatural power. This characteristic can bring them peace, but their life can also be in danger since they cannot defend themselves against those truths. It developed in the School of the Truth, and they developed the word to show that there is a big difference between people with abilities and people without abilities. This word is the discrimination of those who don't have any ability, and its purpose is to insult people with no ability. Our third word is reform. It is intentionally created to establish control when the administrators try to conceal what happened to the students who did not obey the rules well. It means that students are reformed, but usually in a cruel way, by using them to do experiments and indoctrinate. And its purpose is to comfort the students to make them think that everything the city has done to them is beneficial to them. Our first word is animal campus. The abbreviation of our dystopian word academic city is AC, for the city treats its citizens like animals, so people call it animal campus. This word developed naturally by pressure under the great power of government. Its purpose is to complain about the over-control of the government. Our last word is siblings. The highly gifted troops are cloned for experiments, and the siblings refers to the clones. This word developed naturally by the clones found they were like a family since all of them had similar experiences and fates. Although they were not cared by others, they cared about each other and considered one another to be their sister or brother. Its purpose is to comfort and warm each other.
The property of our dystopian world is that in the city, most of our population are students, and there are people with superpowers and abilities. Why is this world dystopian? It's because that it seems like the labs and researchers are helping the students to improve their abilities and superpowers, but it's actually they're using them to do human experiments in order to find the power of turning the time to save the president's family. And in our real world, what do we need to do to prevent this happening? Firstly, we need to separate the powers of the government, make sure there's no dictators in this world, and also make sure there's no one controlling really huge military powers and technology powers. And also, we should strengthen the supervision to prevent malicious people.